Okay, hello. Welcome to HEMS line training day one. I'm going to just pick random liveries, random locations. So today we have the Swedish air ambulance, and they are, or Norwegian, sorry, and they are providing us with HEMS services out of East Midlands Airport in the UK. Which would normally be Helimed 5-4. So, first of all, you'll would have done your daily brief, as I mentioned in another video. So I'll bring up the interesting stuff here so that we can talk about it. So we have our Met check. So this is a free TAF METAR site. We'll look at East Midlands and the weather. Is it good enough for HEMS? We're looking at northwesterly winds, variable and light, good visibility, few at 2,500 feet, and nothing in the TAF, which is going to stop us flying HEMS, all within limits for this area and the surrounding. It's a nice day. So for day one, we're starting out with nice, clear conditions, not going to be too taxing for us. Another thing we can look at is our NOTAMs if we want to be really specific about it. So notaminfo.com, fantastic resource for your NOTAMs. You can set up all the details on the right here for showing airspace and stuff. So we're out of East Midlands, so we can have a quick look and see if there's anything that's going to affect us. Aircraft stands are closed, and air display today might affect us. A Battle of Britain Memorial flight and fly past within Castle Donington, which is like a racetrack just west of East Midlands. From surface to upper 2,500 feet. That is running from the 3rd of May, which is today, from 1 o'clock local. So we'll need to remember that. I'm recording this about 1 o'clock local. So that would affect us if we lifted heading west. We would want to avoid this air show. We are HEMS, but we also fly quite neighbourly. Other things that might interest us, a bit towards the north, there's an equestrian event. This is usually for military aircraft only, but we fly quite low in HEMS, so you'd want to respect that as well. The danger areas in the Peak District are active, and other parts around the patch, a lot of these are usually, there you go, parachute jumping. So I'd want to be careful just west of Leicester. Leicester Airport itself doesn't have anything. Flying of model aircraft there at Sibson. Fireworks projectile flying, that's usually in the evening. Oh, it's actually all day. There you go. So these are things we'll need to be careful of and be mindful of with flying around our patch. Now, if you want to add that level of realism to it. So we'll go back to that. Now, another thing we would do when starting out, first thing of the day, we'd have our brief and everything, but we'll go and do the first start of the day checks. So I'll show you what it is that we do in order to make sure that the aircraft's all ready for HEMS starts. In order to do a fast start for HEMS, you have to do a full system check in the morning and make sure the aircraft's good to go. So what's not simulated in this is the engine wash procedure. So basically we wash the compressors on the engine because they lead quite hard lives, salty environment, dirt, muck, that sort of stuff. We make sure that the engine's nice and clean, not corroding. That would be a sort of 5-minute ground run as well as part of that procedure, but we can't do that in this. So first of all, we just check, make sure the switchology is in the correct position, which starting cold and dark in the H145, it will be the case. And so let's get our battery power on. So for the HD145D2, we go to the engage position and back to on, and it'll start. So a little bit of a moment waiting at the moment. You can go around, make sure everything's secure, make sure you've got your tech log, that sort of stuff. So I'll acknowledge all the warnings and cautions that come up. And we'll come along here, and the first thing we'll check is our fire. So we'll take the fire, we'll go to the middle position, we'll get fire bottle 1 and 2 used, that's the caption we're looking for, and we'll put it into the forward position completely. And now we'll get engine 1 fire, fire bottle 1 and 2 test, and this will light up, as well as bot 1, bot 2, and extinguish. So that's a good test on number 1. I'll do the same for number 2. Check the fire bot 2 used, caption, and then all the way forward, and now it's on the right hand side. So fire engine 2, 5.12 used, fire cautions here, extinguish bottle 1, bottle 2, and that annoying noise. After that, we can check the lamps. So put the audio lamp test into the front. So we're looking for all this to be lit up. We come down. Now, in the real aircraft, these wouldn't be lit up until we put the avionics on later. But so basically, you have to do 2 lamp tests in the real aircraft. But in the sim, this gives us all the lamps that we want. So we're looking for all this to be lit up, these to be lit up. That training light should light up, but it doesn't. And the autopilot control panel. So that's good enough for me. So back to off. DC receptacles to be on, and coming down, we'll get the prime pumps on here. So prime pumps to start the engine, we'll acknowledge the caption, rotor breakers off because that would inhibit a start, clear round. In this case, I'm not using VATSIM because the comms for HEMS doesn't really work that well in VATSIM. So I'm just going to say, East Midlands HEMS 54, the Western ramp requesting start for a ground run, and they'd call back, say start ground run approved, give me a local QNH, which was 1014 today. Oh, that's already set for us. Lovely. All right, so it's the 3rd, so we'll start number 1. Number 1, engine to idle, start. N1's rising. There's a TOT light up. Turn the numbers on. Engine oil pressure, temperature coming up. No, it wouldn't really look like that, but that's fine. Hydraulics are in as well. Main gearbox over limit. Probably not, but the gearbox temperatures and pressures should be rising now. So I'm just going to validate that wake there. We'll do that in a minute. Okay, so now that we're up here, we're going to test the hydraulics, which is this yellow switch here at the battery. So we'll set that to system 1, and there we go, it's come on. So low pressure hydraulics 2, that's fine. And what we're going to do is just do a tiny little wiggle with the sticks. And all you'd be doing in real life here is just making sure that there's no, there's nothing sort of in the way that's getting in the way. There's no binding in the controls. It all feels normal. And then we'll test number 2. And this will come with a tail rotor shut off as well. There we are. Oh, number 1, sorry. Tail rotor shut off. Hydraulics, and then another little wiggle of everything. The real aircraft doesn't move anywhere near as much as that when you do it. And then back into the middle position and make sure that our hydraulics come back and are happy. Now that's done, and we can see that we're not drawing a big load off the generators. We can start number 2. So number 2 to idle. So start engine 1, or engine 2, sorry. N1, TOT light up. Cool, now that that's running and happy, both generators are online, what we can do is we can start turning on systems. We do that extra light test now, if it was modelled correctly. So all of our avionics coming on, and we'll come on here, the D2 rattles like anything, so put the anti-vibrations on, don't need the wipers today. The pitos are automatic, we want the transfer pumps on, the prime pumps off, definitely want lights on, emergency lights into the arm position. So there we go. So that's all running now. So now that we are in this configuration, when the Garmin's come in, usually it asks you to check something, but in this case it doesn't seem to be bothered. It usually makes sure that everything's in date, but that's not modelled in here. Zoom out a bit so we can see stuff. Right, so let's flick to pre-flight, which I think in this you need to hold. In reality it's just a short press. But pre-flight test comes up here. And what we're doing is we're just checking the autopilot system. So you should be able to watch it here. And what it would do is would flash and go through all sorts of stuff and then tell you it was okay at the end. It says pre-flight test okay. and so you would use our backup, AP backup on the cyclic to turn on the autopilot, make sure everything goes happy, which it slowly is. There we are. And then you would also use the AP backup cut, which I don't have mapped, but we'll just turn that all off. And then you'd make sure that your cyclic beep trim still works, which isn't really modelled. And then we can just turn everything back on by the autopilot control panel. Everything's green. And that's pretty much it for your systems tests. You wouldn't really do much more than that. That's the aircraft good to go. You would run your 5-minute ground run to dry out the engines after washing them, and that's about it. And then you would just shut down. So once you've run it, I mean, you could do an engine proficiency check as well. So is it even on these? So previous. It doesn't have it. Usually this little thing says, oh, you can click it. So there's no button, but you can click it and it says engine power check. So you actually get a whole bunch of stuff here telling you turn the generators off, one engine up, one engine down, pull 70%, check, see the engine power, that sort of stuff. But it's not there. Cool. So what we'll do is we'll just turn everything off. So we'll leave the lights on, and I'll tell you why in a minute. The transfer pumps off, PTO static, masters. All off for the avionics, and then engine off, engine off. So running down, always good to just check that your engine temperatures don't go spiking when that happens. And then below 50% you can put the rotor brake on. So if you're trying to remember when you can put the rotor brake on, there's a white box that comes around. It should be a 50, but it comes on over here. But once that white box is around the NR, you can put the rotor brake on. There you go. Happy days. And then the rotors will slow down faster, although in the real aircraft, they don't slow down particularly quickly at all. So once you've done that, you are good for a HEMS start for the rest of the day. And you know that the systems are all work, and the rest of the day you can do fast starts. So the reason I leave the lights on, the position of the anti-cold lights on, does a couple of things. On the one hand, it means that when I leave the aircraft, walk away and go for my cup of tea, and I look back at the aircraft, if I see all the lights are blinking on it, it reminds me that I forgot to turn the battery off. And I don't want the aircraft's battery running down. So it's a good visual indicator. And second is, HEMS units, even ones based at major airports like East Midlands, although there is no aircraft here anymore, that's a few years ago, will not actually call them requests to start for a HEMS tasking. They will just start. So, and then you basically tell them you're starting and where you're going. At which point, East Midlands, in this case, would reply. But they could also visually see, lights turning on. That even before you start, if they look down in your area, because the tower's only just sort of behind us here, they would be able to see your lights and know that you're going to start. So the way I've set this aircraft up is a lot like what you'd see for a British Air ambulance. We don't have floats or anything. We've got the HISL for night. We don't have a weather radar. Not all do. We are carrying the winch. At the time of recording, there are no UK air ambulances with winches. But due to the limitations of Microsoft Flight Simulator and how close you have to be to land to the patients, sometimes you have to winch them in this game. Which is fine, so we'll carry the winch just in case we come across those, but I'd rather try and find places to land, because currently all UK ambulances will just land as close as they can, even if that's quite a ways away and you need to get a lift from the cops or something. Cool, so what I will do is I will set our weights for the day. If let's have a medical payload of 150. If you could tap this in, let's say the crew weighs about 400 kilos today. And I mean, the empty equip there is very light. I'd expect us to be a bit more than that. Max weight's 3,700. I'd expect with a medical payload, the crew, and then 575 of fuel. I'd expect to be a bit heavier than that, but that's fine. We'll take light. 575 is plenty of fuel for what we'll need to do. In this, if you go crew payload, there's fueling 2550 in full, about 80% if you use this weight and balance system here, about 80, maybe 85% is probably a normal HEMS load for lifting from base. About 600 kilos worth is probably something sensible. Gives you enough fuel to go and do a few jobs at a time. Okay, so I will, for the purposes of it, turn the battery off, let it go cold and dark, and we'll pretend that we've had a HEMS tasking. So the phone is gone. We'll open up the mission page. We're going to do HEMS, a HEMS rescue mission. I appreciate that there's other ways. So minimum range from base, let's at least do a couple of miles. And let's not go stonkingly far away. I'm sure 60 kilometers is probably fine. And begin taking calls. Dispatching to charger fire. I guess that's a charger. A fire has broken out an EV station and someone's seriously injured. Okay, fly to the site and rescue the person, then deliver them to a nearby hospital. So let's open that on the map. So that looks like it is up to the northeast for us. Map orientation. Yep. So that is outside of East Midlands control zone as well. So you can check that there as well. So if you're going to be using East Midlands ATZ, it sort of comes along here, straight over the top of Nottingham Tollerton as well. So we would want to be speaking with them too. So phone calls in, they give us the details, where it is, usually a good cardinal direction for the pilot's good enough, and I'll start heading to the aircraft. So I'll come along, open the door, and battery on, and I'll just quickly put the prime pumps on as well. You just got to wait for the systems to start. Make sure the rotor brake's off because it will inhibit the start. So we'll just wait for the weight computation to be done to make sure everything's happy. Power up test as well. We need to make sure it's good. So power up test is okay. So we are clear round, and we'll start engine number 1 to idle. So weight's good, so we can leave that. Monitoring the start here. So we can use the home, nearest, airports. It should bring up East Midlands for us, EGNX, frequencies, tower, and we'll flick that over. There is a button there we can use to flick them. There, and we'll need their approach or centre will do. So good start, engine number 1, and voltage is good, generators online, engine number 2. So at this point I'd chat to them. So East Midlands, Helimed 5 for Alpha starting, routing to the northeast, out of the zone VFR. And they'd probably come back and say, Helimed 5-4 Alpha, clear to start, exit the zone, VFR on the altitude 1,500 feet, 1014. I'd read that back, and I'll just tell them when ready to lift. So into idle now. So coming up, we go masters on, coming along, the ABCS is still in the same place. The pitos, prime pumps off, transfer pumps on, all of our lights on, emergency exit lights into the arm position, engines to flight and guarded. Make sure that our autopilots are on. Turn that on however you like, and like cyclic or autopilot control panel. Come down, and I mean, I'd always usually turn the landing light on, so you can put that on as well. At this point, you might have people coming out to the aircraft, like your doctor or paramedic. You'd clear them in, let them get on board, make sure we've got the setup, got the time displayed. I prefer SVS. And then we'll go through a checklist. This is a checklist from the Rotorcraft Flight Manual or Flight Limitations Manual. It covers all the bases, and if this is something you want, I'll be more than happy to make one and dispense it amongst everyone. So fuel quantity and key, we've got 600 kilos, which is sufficient, and the key is normally hanging somewhere, the key for the fuel cap, basically. Autopilots and upper modes, the autopilots are in no upper modes. Easy and altimeters, 1014, said 300 feet all round is good. This is the easy, the standby. DADH, let's set something sensible for HEMS. So DH, let's go 400 feet. The limit is 500, but if we put 400, then that's a definitive. We need to definitely be climbing. Comnav and FMS, so we're chatting to East Mids Tower, then approach, and in this side, let's go nearest airports. Come on. It's not going to load, there we are. Nearest airports, we're going to want EGBN. Oh, where'd it go? Nottingham Tollerton, frequencies, flight information service, and we'll switch those over. So on box 1, we'll have Nottingham Tollerton to talk to as well. Nav, well, that's all set because that's been put in, our location. I'll put a little arrow as one because it points directly at it. Engines and guards are fly guarded. T's, P's and NR. So T's and P's, grey, normal. NR's 101, 102, so that's good enough. Lights are all on. MFDs I'm going to set onto the NavD page so that I've got some more situational awareness. Warning unit and master list. This is the warning unit. This is the master list. So that should be completely clear. Nothing red up there and green's only down here. Security, yeah, doors are locked, secure, nothing on there. Everyone will call round, make sure that they're secure, all the medical kit's secure. Take off brief. So it's going to be out of here and crossing the active runway, routing to the northeast. So Helimed 54 Alpha is ready for departure. And that's a yep, clear to lift, taxi via Mike, cross runway 27 to the northeast as required. Read that back. And coming into the hover now. All feeling normal. T's, P's good. NR's good. Turning around. And this will be our taxiway that we cleared up. So good VTOS. Always good check around. Make sure there's no other traffic. I don't have any traffic turned on. Remember, this is day 1. HEMS easy mode. And we'll start flying towards the patient. So crossing the active. So I'm going to use the beep trim to get us climbing at VY, not above 1,500 feet, 1014. At this point, your technical crew member in the left, paramedic, would probably be chatting to their control, seeing if we've got an update on the patient, that sort of thing. You know, are there any crews on scene, and give them an ETA. So the ETA at the moment is 12 minutes, but we're not at cruise speed. It's only 15 miles. So I'd expect to be there in, we'll call it 10, including our sort of recce and landing. So coming up 1,000 feet, let's double tap our AP backup and set 1,000 feet and bring us up to cruise speed. So I'll ask 130 knots of it. Won't always get it because of the wind. The wind today, as we said, northeasterly, 15 knots, so we'll think about that when we get to our sites, and we're almost direct on. We can couple to this and let us fly directly. If you're hearing bongs like that, that's it, slightly over talking, so you might need to just back off on the speed a little bit. I'd expect air traffic control to say contact approach on 134.430, so I'd switch over and say Middens Radar Helimed 54 Alpha is with you, passing Ratcliffe Power Station, routing to the northeast out of the zone. And they'd say, you know, clear to exit the control zone, currently radar service, basic service on exit, something like that. I'd agree to the service. But I am going to be flying over a small airfield called Tollerton, or Nottingham City Airport is called here. So I've already pre-selected them on box 1. So make sure we've got box 1 selected, and I would just say Nottingham Radio, because it's not an air traffic control. Nottingham Radio, Helimed 54 Alpha, EC45 helicopter out of East Midlands. I'll be routing southwest to northeast overhead in 3 miles. And they would probably come back and say something like, just tell me what traffic's in the circuit, that sort of thing, if I've got anything to avoid. We do have priority over other air traffic, but that's not a good excuse to use for student pilots, general aviation that might might not be that aware. So we've got to be careful. We're not here to scare people and intimidate them out of the way either. We'll if we needed to, if it was really busy, I'd fly around the airport. So this is quite nice. So I don't have much in the way of exemptions to think about. The weather's good, not having to use weather exemptions. I've got plenty of power, probably not going to use performance exemptions. We're currently at 850 feet. We're not over congested area like a town. We're allowed to fly below 1,000 feet if we need to, like over a city like Nottingham over here. That's unnecessary at the moment as well. I might just beep up. I say beep up, what I mean is I'm using the collective beep trim to climb. So beep up to 1,200 feet here, be a bit more neighbourly, flying over towns. Don't annoy them too much. Ignore that, that's just a hype Microsoft Flight Simulator thing that it does. So yeah, there's no need to use our exemptions really at the moment. The law is that you use them only to the amount required to complete the mission. So if I don't need to use them, I won't. So I'm pretty sure that's Tollerton. Tollerton coming into view in the distance there. So East Mids will probably say you're leaving my controlled airspace basic service. I'd say thanks. And I'll just call East Mids again once I'm landing. Nottingham, I'd tell them now. So Tollerton Helimed 54 Alpha is entering the ATZ to the southwest, West Bridgeford, routing overhead 1,200 feet 1014. Let them know what's going on, tell them if there's any traffic, that sort of stuff. But we're going to go straight overhead, which is fine. So at some point, I'm going to have to start thinking about the landing site. So I've been told that it is a charging station. So I'm probably going to be looking for some kind of forecourt, something that's burst onto flames, so I'd expect to see smoke, that sort of thing. And certainly in this simulator, there's always, you're never the first on scene. There's always someone else there with the patient first, so that helps identify it. But I'm thinking to myself, well, looks like quite a built-up urban area. Looks to be residential next to the this main road. So that's a good feature. So I need to cross the main road, a nice big junction. These are all things to look out for to help you identify the site as you get overhead. So with that in mind, I might be thinking, well, tight sites, might have to use exemptions like performance class. Probably not today with the weather and the wind and how light we are. But certainly descending into congested area is part of the exemptions we'll be using. And we need to think about the minimum size, which is 2D, D being the length of the aircraft rotor tip to tail. So with that in mind, we have to be 2 times that for a 145. That's 28 metres by 28 metres. So 28 metres squared is the minimum size that we can land. Obviously, we've got the slight limitations of Microsoft Flight Simulator, where we might have to do winching if there's nowhere close enough to land. But I will try and land and see if that will work, and it will accept it. So 2 minutes to go. Do some approach checks. So if we had a weather radar, we want that to shut that off. We're not here to bombard people with radio waves on the ground. Decision altitude and decision height. Altitude is not required. It's more of an IFR thing. 400 feet DH is fine. We should get decision height as we pass through it, which we'll need to acknowledge verbally for the cockpit voice recorder. Lights are still on. Security is all good. And then my brief. So the pilot, the captain, will usually do a brief for landing. Now, if you're going to somewhere known like a hospital, you could just talk about that now, but we've never been here before, so we don't know where we're landing. I will perform my brief once overhead and we've got a site picked out. So I'm going to use heading now. Heading or track's fine. And I'm just going to come left slightly. So what this does, I'm just going to offset so that the incident comes down my right hand side and it's easier to see. So that we can look down out the window at where we're going. I'm probably just going to come down slightly as well. Be a bit lower. Probably not, wouldn't really do an orbit below 500 feet. But somewhere below, between 1,000 and 500 feet is usually good. Usually at those sort of heights you can spot wires and that sort of thing. So I can already tell you we have multiple cranes in this area. I can see the smoke coming from the electric charger that's apparently caught fire. Smoke's another great indicator of wind direction, so northwesterly as expected. So already looking at this, it's in here somewhere. This field is already looking fantastic. That I wouldn't go for. It's big enough, but it's too close to the cranes. So I can make my approach in over the town here, into this field. Hopefully it'll accept it. I mean, it's pretty close. Oh, we can try down here actually. So let's take the autopilot out and just roll the aircraft over so we can look out. So we could probably try for that little park there, I think. And that will be good enough. So not expecting wires. The cranes we've talked about, it's quite close to the road, and hopefully, distance-wise, that'll let me and this medical crew in Flight Simulator attend from that distance. If not, we'll have to switch to hoisting, which I don't really like doing because it's not very realistic. So quick set of finals checks. Don't think my downwash is going to affect anything. I'll stow the iPad so I've got better visibility. Start to slow down. Got my lead-in features. I've got those cranes on the right. The red cranes on the left will come down the left-hand side of the aircraft. And we're going to be running along these fields, all the houses to the right, and then there's just a little park that we can use. So the site looks quite tight. Looks like it's probably close to the 2D limit that we were talking about. But that's okay. We are allowed to use those exemptions. In reality, this huge field ahead of us would probably be best because you could land in it faster. It will take much less faffing to get into. You waste all the time trying to land in this super tight site when actually you can land in something much closer. A bit further away, much quicker, and it's only an extra 30 seconds for the crew to walk over. So that little sort of crossroads path looks like a good spot. So we'll just hold the height here. We're going to think about our downwash. So we're going to be flying over people's gardens here, making an awful racket and mess if we're not too careful. And then there's a good spot. We're just going to come down. And there's like a little blue car on the right there, so we'll just put it next to there, and that should be close enough. Try not to over-control the pedals. Right, down, neutral, and pretty sure you open this. It'll say, place the engines to idle. So I'd say that's probably close enough. So crew operations in progress. That's accepted that. So in reality, you'd actually shut down. You might be here, anywhere between half an hour to an hour plus whilst they treat the patient. But I appreciate that probably isn't the most entertaining thing in Microsoft Flight Simulator, for you to sit there and wait for them to deal with a patient in reality. Helicopters draw quite a crowd in residential areas, so I'd expect there to be people coming out of the houses wanting to talk and that sort of stuff, and that's absolutely fine. Never give away information about what's going on, because that's not fair and it breaches patient confidentiality. But, you can say, well, we're only here if it's really serious, that sort of stuff, and tell them about the work that you do, and that's all fine. And then you'd just be waiting. You're a glorified Uber. So you're just waiting for the medical crew to say exactly what they want. Where do they want to go? How do they want to get there? All that sort of stuff. He's going to merge straight through the wall. Contrary to popular belief, actual UK medics do not have the ability to melt through walls. So with the aircraft turned off, I'd be doing things like filling out my logbook, the tech log for the aircraft, showing where I've landed, basically detailing the exact location, what exemptions did I use to get in here, and if I've done any damage, if I've blown over someone's fence, that sort of stuff, I'll need to report it. I'll be checking my fuel. So I've got 559 kilos of fuel. Plenty to take to hospital. We've got payload to take a patient, and we're nice and healthy to actually go and do another job on the bounce if we did, so long as the crew haven't used too much kit. So that's another part, you know, have they trashed all their medical kit and we don't have enough to go do something else. The other thing to think about is, how do we get out of here? Well, in this case, I'd probably use a vertical departure. Sat outside the helicopter, we've got trees behind us, but they're not going to affect our profile, which is quite steep, sort of this kind of trajectory. We've got the cranes to the right, but we're pretty clear in front, so I would think, you know, 150 feet as a committal point out of here would be fine. 130 feet at its absolute minimum, and then anything that you think might be affect you in front, like a tree here at 40 feet, you could add to 130, giving yourself 170 feet, but that's plenty distance. I've got plenty of time to get away. And what we're thinking here is just fly away. If I lost an engine, can I get back? And then once I actually commit to forward flight, if I lost an engine, could I dive down, get the airspeed to climb away without hitting stuff? That's what we're thinking about. Now, they're going to want to go to hospital. You know, there's lots that actually go into this. Not every hospital is the same in the UK. Our nearest major trauma centre for here is actually nice and close in Nottingham, in the centre about here. But these guys, with a burns patient, there are specialist burns units and burn centres, which is all very complex. So again, you're just at the beck and call of what they want you to do. In reality, this close to a major hospital, you'd probably go by road. There's probably no time saving to go by aircraft, and you just go meet them and pick them up, and that's fine. This is drawing... is that a hospital on here? There? Is that a helipad? Unknown. The hospital itself is... trying to get my bearings here. That's Wootton Park. The hospital itself is about here. But the landing site for Nottingham is some playgrounds here. So you land here and an ambulance picks you up and takes you there. Oh, they sound like they're on their way back with a patient. Yep, there they are. We'll just acknowledge that. So pick a hospital on the map, which I guess are these H's. It's been a while since I've tried this. So, there you go. There's we can go to Tollerton, I think, is saying that is a hospital site. Spire Nottingham Hospital. No idea what that is, but we'll accept that as our destination. Nice and close. So engines to flight. While they're running up, our before takeoff checklist. Fuel quantity is 550. The key's still on board. Autopilots are in. Easy nav altimeters, no change. DADH, still no change at 400 feet. Comnav FMS, no change. We'll taxi Tollerton because we're going into this zone. Engines guard, fly, and close. T's, P's, NR, grey, normal, 102, 101, close enough. Lights are all on. MFDs, we'll select Nav D. You can put the camera on if you want. It's a little bit odd in this, but you know, certainly for the newer models, you would probably have the camera on. I'm happy with the navigational display. Warning unit master list clear, normal, just green only, all secure. So I'm secure in the front. The guys was cool that they're secure in the back with the patient, and the takeoff brief. So 170 feet, let's call it, out here, vertical, and for fun, we could just use the automation. So let's select the hover mode so we can see. Lifting into the hover. So it's GTCH both sides. Oh, it's not quite picking it up as quickly as I'd like. That's okay. So we'll hold it there and just a nice 300 to 500 feet per minute rate of climb out of here. is fine. 300 feet per minute is the official amount that you're supposed to use, but at the same time you've just landed in a pretty strange place. If you need to get away, you need to get away. So we're looking at this number here, our rad alt height. So looking good, clear above, and I'm going to use the go around function after this as well, which I have mapped to my collective. So we're through 170 feet, selecting go around, so go around, heading on the nose, looks clear forwards, it's going to fly forwards and away for us. I mean, brilliant, barely have to touch the controls. Why did I even become a pilot? It does it all for me. Okay, and we'll get rid of the hover display because it's pretty cluttered once you start flying away, and we'll start turning left towards our destination. I'm trying to keep the heading bug coming round. In the real aircraft, the heading bug is pretty slow, to be fair. So let's go out airspeed heading now. Let's get it to... let's get it really coming around the corner. That'll be a lot easier. And just to level off, it's a very, very short hop to this hospital. You could click direct to our flight plan, last destination, direct to, and it'll do that for you, and you can couple to it, and it'll just fly you direct to this this hospital site that we've picked. Oh, there looks like some rain about. That wasn't really forecast, I don't think, but you know, nothing that's going to stop us flying. That's not an issue at all. So, quick call, I basically say Tollerton Helimeds 54 Alpha EC45. Just lifted from a private site, the A46 in Bingham, inbound for yourselves for the hospital helipad, which doesn't exist here, but, you know, that's fine. Speed it up a little bit. So we're pretty close, only 4 miles or so to go. And what we'll do is we'll do... one more job cycle after this, and then call it. So we'll just pretend that we've got another job whilst we're at hospital. So there's Tollerton. So there's a helipad just on the southern edge of it, it looks like. So approach checks, we don't have the weather radar fitted, so DH 400 feet is fine, lights are all on, secure all round, they'll call this secure in the back, happy with the patient, and the brief. So going into hospitals, it must be performance class 1, so we have to do our Cat A profile. So you'll have a nominating, but for ground elevated, ground helipad, be 100 feet, 130 feet on the rad out, and 20 knots ground speed, and as into wind as we can manage. So, is there a windsock for us? There is, just down here, showing the northwesterly that we're familiar with. Trying to see what it thinks is the hospital landing site. Where is it? Maybe in there or something? Maybe that square. Let's try that square. At least let's get something good to aim for. Okay. Let's bring the speed right back. Got a nice sort of 1 mile final. So I'm going to decouple heading. This is certainly a nice thing to do when you're flying HEMS in the dark. So now there's no heading. It's just holding altitude and airspeed. And I'll use the beep trim to get us into a steady a rate of turn. I'm not selecting a particular heading, I just want it to turn. So the altitude is holding 900 feet, airspeed holding VY, but I've just set 20 degrees angular bank and it will do that for me very nicely. So we're going to sort of overshoot from a wind perspective, so a bit more cyclic beep trim gets us to 30 degrees, brings that coming round. Just reduce the speed a bit as well, 60 knots is fine. We'll get rid of this, and let's decouple the automation, reset our trim, and start to look for that site to land. So we're looking for the pad to come sort of between our feet in the pedals at 130 feet, 20 knots. I do find this thing flies very strangely manually. It's very good on the automation, but it's nothing like the real aircraft. When flying manually, it's pretty weird. I've got pretty high rate of descent here, so you know I'd normally go around, but this constant sort of override thing is not something that actually happens. I'm not sure what it's trying to do sometimes. So that ground speed is probably good. That's just under 20 knots. That's all right. 180 feet. So 130 feet, call that LDP, or landing decision point. So basically any failures now, we're definitely going to commit to land. Try and keep the rate of descent below 300 feet per minute. And try not to knock the fillings out of the patient on the landing. Perfect. So on the ground, close enough for government work, hopefully. Engines to idle. Bring up the BMS page so we can monitor everything. Where does it think that we should be landing? Back there somewhere. Oh well, they're getting out. They're happy enough with that. So again, in reality, you'd actually shut down. You know, don't really want to be taking patients in and out too much with the rotors running if you don't need to. You'd shut down, help them unload the patient. They'd go in, and you can usually expect to be at hospitals between 30 minutes and an hour again while they do paperwork, hand over to the medical teams. You can make sure that the helicopter's clean, tidy it up, make sure that their kit's all ready to go for another job. If you're feeling really generous, maybe get them a coffee, biscuits, ice cream, whatever, especially if you've had a busy day, you haven't had a chance to eat. It's always a nice thing to do. So we'll wait for these guys to do their thing, and they have done. They have phased the patient out of existence, and is now coming back. It's got quite a strut, this guy. Let's have a watch him open the clamshell. It's a great system, this, the clamshell on the 145, patient loading, and then just shove them in. Any minute now. There we go. Oh, wasn't expecting to see that. Okay, so all closed, shut up. He's getting on board. Right, I think probably ready to go again. Stand by for dispatch. Another charger fire. Well, let's try something different, shall we? You know, in reality, you don't get a choice if there's two charger EV charging station fires. Then you're gonna go to two EV charging station fires. Let's abort that. Yeah, I've never used the scenario editor. I don't know what quick crew walk around is, so if you guys do know what that is, let us know. Is it better than what I'm using here? Would you prefer to see this other things being used? Let's take rescue calls then. Another charger fire. It's got to be something else. Got to be something else. Settings. What have I got here? I'm not going to fly to another charger fire. Let's do something more interesting. Abort that mission. Let's increase the distance we need to fly a bit. A building fire. Why is everything going on fire today? You want like a mountain issue or something like that. Not far from the Peak District. Yeah, you can dispatch all you want. Well, I'm not going to go to this one. Like, that's we'll just pretend that's in someone else's patch. It's not for us. Fires and burn jobs are some of the ones you don't want to go to. Another charger fire. I feel like that's all that's left. Installed missions. What we got? Let's enable some more jobs. Why are all these disabled? Let's get rid of building fire. Let's get the charging station fire. Golf, mountain rescue, the oil rig stuff. Okay, right. That's better. Apologies for that. That's all still the same. Let's go. Golf accident. There you go. Not unusual to go to a golf course. So where are we going? Way up to the northeast. Oh wow, right on the western edge of the peaks. That'll be a nice flight. So, we would have had to have done the fast HEMS start, but in this case, we're already there. Distance is... I haven't put it onto the into here for me yet, but distance looks like a fair old trick. Where's it gone? Oh, has it just changed it? Is it now down to the southeast? I thought I was going up to the peaks a moment ago. What's this happen now? My current mission. Okay, fine. Going down to the southeast, 11 miles away. Originally I thought it looked like we're going to the north. Right, anyway. So, fuel quantities, 510, good to continue flying. The key is on board. Autopilots and upper modes are all in. Easy and altimeters, 1014 is the same. DADH, no change. 1014 is good enough. 100 feet. Com, Nav, and FMS will just attach to Tollerton. We are not going anywhere near anybody else's. We're going only to sort of Melton Mowbray. So we're not going to anyone else's airspace. Engines are fly, and guarded. T's, P's, and NR all look good. Our lights are all on. MFDs, I'll use NavD. I like to put HTORs on, but HTOR doesn't come up very well on that screen, I find. Warning unit master list, green, normal, and clear. All secure in the front, they're secure in the back. Takeoff brief, so let's go 130 feet out of here. Takeoff forwards, right turn, we're out. So, Nottingham Radio, Helimed 54 Alphas, lifting from the hospital pad, will be routed to the southeast on another detail. So, bringing in the power. Feeling good. Up into the hover. And we'll just continue upwards and backwards, keeping the pad sort of in that chin bubble window. About 300 feet per minute, and we'll go through for 130 feet. So a little bit shallow, increase the power, get it back in the chin window. There we are. That's a nice profile. So if the engine failed, we've got good visual, we can just fly back to where we started. 130 feet, TDP, clear ahead. Making sure we've got plenty of power on, so we're still going to climb, or at least fly level as we go. And climbing up. Go to the right. So using the beep trim here to keep us coming out to the right and accelerating and climbing. So doesn't look like there's any weather going to affect us. I'll just back off on the beep trim here, roll out onto something sensible. So if you put the little brown diamond on the arrow, that's your ground track diamond. That's getting us going direct to it. So let's double tap this little guy, which you can see in my autopilot bindings video. Double tap that, out heading airspeed. Let's get us speeding up to 130 knots if we can. Heading's good. I'll have a look at our... So it looks like we're heading in the right direction. No air traffic to think about. So in this direction, there's a bit of a ridge line here. We're at 1,000 feet, so we've got good distance from the base of the clouds. Let's pop up 1,300 feet-ish. She'll bong at you, but don't worry about that. In the real aircraft, it wouldn't. So, not a bad idea when crossing major roads. Just have a good look up and down them. Light aircraft do use them to navigate, so they might just be sort of hand railing, as it's called, the road to navigate north and south here. So what have we got about the job? So the job is on a golf course, so that's easy for us because golf courses are not only nice places to land, they're usually pretty well manicured, but they are also easy to spot. Looks like end of this hole. So one golden rule for golf courses: you do not land on the green. Ever, ever, ever. Never land on the green. You, the skids, the wheels, whatever you've got on your helicopter will absolutely ruin the ground. Every golfer will curse you. Every groundskeeper will hate you. And the fundraising that the golf course might otherwise have done for you will definitely never ever happen if you ruin the 18th hole for everybody. Because you just leave big divots. You know, you're putting, in this case, 3.5 ton probably of helicopter on quite soft manicured lawn, so you're going to ruin it. Much better to land on the fairway. People don't mind you doing that too much. 3 minutes to go. I'll probably tell Tollerton that I'm well clear of their zone, and I'll just hold on to them until I'm ready to descend. So at least there's one person in air traffic control somewhere that knows where I am. In reality, we're all tracked via secure radios by a dispatcher who always knows where we are. So, as we did before, let's come left a couple of degrees. We want the golf course to come down my right-hand side so that I can have a good look down, decide where the patient is, have a good look at the scene, and choose our best landing site. So 2 minutes out, we'll get some checks done. So the DADH won't change, we've still got 400 feet set. Lights are all on, I'm secure all round, secure in the back, no medical kit floating around. And the survey and landing brief will come as we get overhead. So maybe a little bit of a tailwind benefit here, but as you can see from a weight perspective, we've asked 130 knots, but it doesn't seem to be managing much more than 125. That's okay though. That's not unusual for a 145. So, as I said, golf courses are easy to spot. If it wasn't something like a golf course, I'd be using things like, well, we've got a little town to go over first, which looks like this here. So we'll pass over that, mostly open fields. And you can use things like, well, if you just got like a vector diagram, the A607 we want to cross. If we see a train line, for instance, then we know we've gone too far and we've missed it. So this bunch of trees here. Looks like it could be some sort of golf course. Only a mile away. Let's reduce the speed now. Definitely come to the right. I'll get rid of this. Can range down. If you've got range selected here, use this knob to range in and out. And you can see our destination there. So we've really come out to the right. We'll get the speed right back so that we can have a good look down in here. Trees look quite tall. And so we are looking for our patient. So we'll take heading out and put us into an orbit. 20 degrees or so. So currently not visual with our patient. Ah, is that something? It looks like golfers with maybe someone collapsed next to the golf buggy. Not seeing an ambulance or anything else like that, so it looks like we're first on scene. So the wind is pretty much up our chuff now. So what I would probably do here is I would probably accept a crosswind, make an approach to there so I don't cover them with downwash, and then turn around and get a little bit closer. Okay, so that's all good. We'll take out the autopilot. We'll turn down and descend and try not to over control. You certainly wouldn't put 15 degrees nose down, but that's just the sim being a little bit weird. So we're into wind here. So the reason I'm going to accept this crosswind is I'll land a bit faster and a bit easier without causing undue issues to everybody around. So if I was going to try and land directly into wind, I've turned what is quite a nice long fairway into a really tight vertical descent at the end. So you want to really be careful with managing your vertical descent. As you get below the trees in real life, you'd lose that headwind benefit as well. So you'd be using a lot of power to descend vertically to fit it in between these trees. Whereas now what I'm going to do is, mindful that I don't want my downwash to affect them too much, and the 145 isn't too bad, is I'm just going to slow down a little bit here. So if I was going to go directly into wind, I'd have to try and vertically get down into that, and that would not be much fun. So now I'm going to just turn, accept that the winds aren't too strong, take a bit of a crosswind, and now I've got all this space forwards and down for me to descend into. Much easier approach. It will save time as well. And the crosswind isn't that bad really. Alright, so now we're down. Let's get down to a sensible height. 20 feet, right, that'll be fine. A little bit of a slope to this place. So what I want to do is I actually want to land my team a bit closer, because when we load the patient and fly them, we don't want to be walking too far. So if we move into a place to the right that we know to be clear, and now we do what's called a box turn. So we know we've just made space for the tail. So I can turn the tail to the right into where we just were, and we know that it's clear behind us, so we keep coming round a bit faster than I'd like. And then we can just basically fly down the fairway, hover taxi down the fairway, and get a bit closer to our patient. Again, mindful that what I do not want to do is absolutely smash them with downwash. So we can see that we're kicking up a bit of dust here, so we don't got to get too close. Probably a bit downwind here, but we're sheltered by the trees. Never land on the green, which is where they're parked, which is fine. We'll just put it down here. Right, down and engines to idle. See if we can pick a more interesting hospital this time. No, so crew operations are in progress. So, you know, one of the nice things with the cameras in the real aircraft is when they're operating around the door here, the rear door, you can watch the camera, watch them going in and out, make sure that they're safe and clear. Yeah, it doesn't show anything on that. So, same thing as before, really. How do we get out of here? So, these are things we're thinking about, making sure the aircraft's ready to take the patient, where do they want to go, how much fuel it's going to take, do we have the payload to do it. So, pretty confined space, but what I'm going to do is lift into the hover, and I'm going to route back onto this fairway, facing down it again, so I'm not facing directly at the huge obstructions, which are the trees in this case. And we'll do a vertical departure, which in a D2 145 like this one would be PC2, which is fine. We have the exemptions to operate performance class 2. Spoken about what performance classes are in another video about HEMS regulations. So we'll lift up out of here. The trees are looking pretty tall, but we'll be using the nice long fairway down there. So we'll still go to 200 feet, I think. Go up to 200 feet, commit forwards, and that'll be a nice, safe height for flyaway. So he's busy doing his stuff. Any minute now. You'd hope he'd do some kind of medicine. There he is, here he comes. So much shoulder movement, you know, really walks with his shoulders, this guy. Right, time to go. So, there's a hospital site at Peterborough, but that takes us quite a way away from him. Home base has now become Nottingham, which is funny. So, should we go to Leicester Glenfield? Let's go to Leicester Glenfield. We'll use that. We'll leave the camera system on. It's just, it looks really fuzzy because of the ground detail, but it's actually not too bad once you get up to a sensible height. So engines set to flight. So fuel quantity 470 is sufficient for the mission. Autopilot's in upper modes. Autopilots are in, no upper modes. Easy and altimeter still 1014. Distant altitude DH 400 feet. Comnav FMS. So we're going quite close to Leicester, which is there. So let's go and do our home nearest airport and have a look for Leicester. It's Nottingham. Leicester, EGBG. Frequencies, so we'll put that. So when you click that, it goes into the standby. Flick that to our primary, and we'll chat to them on the way in. So the Leicester Aerodrome is about here. We're not actually going to fly into it, but you know, it's good drills to talk to them, let them know what you're doing. Engines guards, fly guarded. T's, P's and NR, so we'll check that. That's all good. 101. Lights are all on. MFDs, I'll select the camera. Warning unit master list, clear normal green. Harnesses, doors secure, and takeoff brief as we did earlier. So we'll stow the iPad so we can actually see out the front. Lift nice and gently into the hover. And get ourselves turning around. Trying to get too close to those trees on the right. Let's scoot forward into the fairway. And we'll use this sort of lighter spot here to depart from. And off we go. So up and out. looking good, looking around, making sure there's no little fixed wing that's doing some pleasure flying around here. As you can see on the camera now, it doesn't look too bad, but when you're close, it's not great. There's 200 feet. We'll commit. Put a bit more power so that we climb as we come out. Use the beep trim now to just slowly bring the nose up. Something sensible. And we're going left, so we can beep trim roll left. So pass an ETA to dispatch for the hospital, and I'll call Leicester. So Leicester Radio Helimed 54 Alpha, just lifted from a site Melton Mowbray. We'll be remaining outside of your controlled airspace and routing to Glenfield low level. So they know where we are, what we're doing, and that we're not going to affect them. Very busy helicopter school at Leicester, so you definitely want to chat with them. And make sure you're deconflicting from any students that are flying. So there's a town of Melton Mowbray, so we can keep climbing a bit. Weather isn't an issue. Let's not fly unnecessarily low over this town and ruin their Saturday. Put the nav-D up. So you can fly manually like this. It's got what's called attitude retention mode, the 145. So the beep trim, you don't need to grip the sticks all the time. You can fly quite happily without autopilot. Just if you've got autopilot, why wouldn't it use it? Doing it for you. So just double tap on the AP backup on, and we instantly get altitude, heading, and airspeed, and we can sit, rest on our laurels. Open this up, kind of go in the right direction, maybe come left a little bit. So after this, it's saying that home base is Nottingham, because that's where we took the last job, but actually home base is East Midlands, so we'll fly to there after this and call it a day for day one HEMS. So not really using much of the exemptions in this. It's nice, good weather, not going into particularly urban areas, not having to use much in the way of HEMS exemptions to achieve it. So that's what we want to see. We've done the brief, we've flown some patients, we've done some jobs, and then as we go through the different days, we're just going to build and build. We'll add poor weather, mountain flying, and I'll just discuss all the sorts of things I'd be thinking about as we're flying around. So 4 minutes to run. Gonna have a quick check. Everything's still happy. Still got plenty of fuel. I mean, 450 at this sort of speed, you're not gonna have. That's not gonna be 3 hours 10 minutes fuel. Ignore that. 145D2, 250 to 260 kilos an hour is what it burns. So right now at 450, we've probably got about an hour and a half's worth of usable fuel, because we've got the 20 minutes that we have to land with legally. We don't have exemptions from that. So VFR, day VFR, we still need 20 minutes of fuel to land with, which is about 100 kilos. So we've got about an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes worth of endurance. This is now suddenly switched to an hour and 53, which is closer, but still not quite. Still no cigar, really. Can't tell. Is this supposed to be a bit of haze? Bit of rain? Can't quite tell. I mean, there's no raindrops falling on me, so it's not an issue. But maybe just a bit of haze. It's not particularly high pressure. 1014. Bit of wind. Wouldn't really expect it to be like this. But anyway, slight drop in visibility. But I mean, look at that. That's definitely more than 10k. No issues whatsoever. Right, 3 minutes to run and a couple of miles. So decision height is 400 feet. You could, if you wanted, set that to something more like the decision point that you'd probably go into hospital. Set 200 feet and use it as that. Lights are all on, all secure, and The brief will be, well, give or take 200 feet into Leicester Glenfield. Will do us. That's an LDP. In reality, you have all the different hospitals listed in a book or on your iPad, and it'll tell you what direction to come in from, how to contact them, what your LDP should be. But rule of thumb for this stuff, if you're going to an elevated helipad on the roof of something, it's going to have to be that, like the height of the helipad plus like 130 feet, but you're going to have to manage it off the bar out. If you're going into a ground helipad, then it might be dictated by the obstacles that are around it. But realistically, unless you're going out and actually surveying these things, you won't know what your decision point is to land. So pick something sensible that feels nice and safe. If you know it's on the ground, 150 to 200 feet will probably be fine. If it's elevated, you're probably going to want to be 150, 200 feet above how high the pad is. So if you're going to be flying HEMS in Microsoft Flight Simulator and you use the same sort of helipads all the time, why not just sort of take note of how high you are on your bar out when you land for the first time at a hospital you're going to use a lot in your patch, and then you can just add 130, maybe 150 feet to that, and that can be your landing decision point that you can use for takeoff and landing. So hospitals out there, I think that's it there. It should be out on our right. And we're going to come in from the south. Unsure where our pad is. Probably could have done the old satellite view and see what it thinks the pad is. So just west of the hospital itself. Is that the hospital instead? In fact, here we are. Here it is, crane, and that's square there. So wind's off to our right. It's picked up a little bit. Let's bring the speed back. Do my favourite, kill the heading, and put in a little bit of beep trim to get us coming around the corner, so I can look outside. In fact, let's decouple and start a descent because we're quite high still. So that is a high rate of descent, but we've got plenty of speed. Not going to worry about vortex ring if you're going that fast. I do find the pedals in this module very odd. So quite tall trees in the undershoot for this. So definitely keep it high. Crane will be on the left. Hospitals on the right. Into wind. I can tell you now, the bumping around is me controlling it, not like bad weather or anything. I've yet to really figure out exactly how this module wants it to be flown. Like I said, nothing like the real thing. Real thing is much smoother, much easier. So let's bring this now in between the pedals, if we can, without wobbling all over the place. So we're coming up on the 200 feet that we said. There's 200 feet. It's in between the pedals. And let's start bringing it down. Nice and gently. That's probably too fast. We're at 500 feet per minute. So let's... something manageable. Something that's not close to vortex ring state. In a larger helicopter like a 145, you need quite a high rate of descent to get into vortex ring. But why, oh why, would you ever attempt that? Right, almost there. Not the prettiest approach. But we're here, and engines to idle. So I've been using this module for a while, but if anyone can tell me on the setup, is it my cyclic sensitivity is maybe too high? I mean, let's put that at 0 and see how that feels. Hands-on detection, dead zone is pedal sensitivity, maybe that's too high as well. Let's drop that right down, see how that feels. Everything's on default. Gameplay realistic, everything else is on. Obviously you don't actually have these sorts of settings in the real aircraft. Off he goes. I wonder if that'll sort my my control issues out with this this module. I'll be honest, I wasn't really sure that there were. I didn't really know that those sensitivities existed. Okay, so we're going to be going back to East Mids. So we're not inside Leicester, so I'll switch that back to Midlands radar, and let's search EGNX for East Midlands. Frequencies, we want tower as our standby. Is that going to say? Still waiting for the crew. So we've got our radio set up, and why not go direct to East Midlands? So now we know exactly how we're getting there. Right, cabin secure. That's very nice of him. Zoom out here. Oh, I don't want to go to a train accident. We are going to back to briefing, abort, and exit. Back to briefing. That's fine. Okay, and we can put our vector plate back on. Does it have my direct to? Oh, that's very nice of it. So there you go. We can use that. A little bit of high ground to get over. It's not too tall, that ridge. And so, before takeoff checks, let's get our engines to flight. Fuel's good at 420. Autopilots are in, no upper modes. Easy and ultimate is 1014. You could go check the East Mids QNH in case that had changed. ComNav and FMS, so chatting to East Mids radar, then tower. We've got FMS plugged in with a direct to, and we've got it on the iPad as well. Engines, guards, fly, and guarded. T's, P's, NR. Grey, normal 102. Lights are all on. MFDs, I'll set NavD for the departure. Warning unit master is clear, normal green. Harnesses, doors, cabin arms secure. They're secure in the back. Takeoff brief. So we'll try doing a bit of an upwards and backwards 200 feet using the hover display. Okay, so lifting into the hover. Well, that does feel a bit happier now with the better sensitivity. So let's come up to something sensible, like 10 feet. Engage auto hover. Give it a minute to settle. That's happy. Let's just correct back over the pad a little. And so I'm just going to increase a bit of power, and I'm going to beep backwards so that we actually come upwards and backwards. So 300 feet per minute I'm going to set. Ah, oh, isn't that nice? Way better than what I can do. Maybe a little steep, but, you know, definitely good enough for government work. Set that 300 feet per minute. So I'm just holding the beep trim back at the moment. Keep the sort of, try and keep that that sight picture using the collective here, because the GTCH doesn't really work like it would in the real aircraft, but that's fine. There's 200 feet. Go around selected. Come on, there we go. Go around, heading. So, accelerating forwards, clear of the obstacles. 145 flies itself, far better than me. Go on to the HSI, and let's head us heading towards East Midlands. In fact, let's just click couple. It'll do it for us. Alte that. We can select Alte instead. So it'll take us to 1200 feet. Vertical speed, outs captured 1200 feet, VY. Life's good. Accelerates to cruise speed. Let's just do 120 knots. We don't need to rake the coals out of this poor thing now that we're not on our way to a HEMS job. So after takeoff checks, it's all good. Autopilot's running it for us. Visual of the high ground ahead. Visibility is getting a little bit poorer, but I don't see anything stopping us from getting home. So Midlands radar, Helimed 54 Echo. So Echo is our suffix for no longer being a HEMS HEMS tasked aircraft. We're just routing back to base, and it's not requiring priority really. But if you read Cat 413, they will give priority to Helimed Echo call signs. Bit of a sidetrack there. East Midlands Helimed 54 Echo EC45 helicopter with from board just lifted from Glenfield, Leicester, routing back to yourselves. Currently outside of controlled airspace to the south, requesting zone entry. Midlands radar come back saying Helimed 54 Echo, basic service outside, clear to enter the zone, not above 1,500 feet VFR 1014, and then I'll just read that back. That's sort of how it would go. So VATSIM won't give you priority. The actual air traffic control thing in native Microsoft Flight Simulator is NAF. There's other things like Beyond ATC. I've not tried it. I'd love to know if it's any good. I should probably just go watch some videos, but would it work for HEMS? I don't know. VATSIM won't give you the priority or anything. That's fine. Another thing we could have said really is haven't done, but the transponder here, which would auto-save all the time. You hardly ever check it because it's always on there. Transponder 0020, put it to altitude reporting, and enter. 0020 is the squawk for all Helimed aircraft in the UK. So we don't fly below 500 feet. There's a little bit of cloud and scud here. We are allowed to use our exemptions to at any point flying HEMS, so whether we're Alpha or Echo, that's fine. We're not flying over congested areas, so I'm happy to go within 500 feet or certainly below 1,000 feet over these hills. That's fine. No need to do much more. I have to say, reading that forecast earlier, I wasn't really expecting the weather to look like this, but you know, this is well within the remit of a normal PPL, let alone a HEMS pilot. Eventually, as we get down the line, we'll start to add bad weather into like a pretty flat part of the country, like the east of the country where it's pretty flat. We'll do navigation in poor weather around flatter areas, and then as we progress through the training in HEMS, we'll go to navigation in poor weather and mountains and that sort of stuff. So expect East Midlands to say radar control service now as we're entering their airspace. I'm pretty sure it actually paints it on our Garmin for us. So yeah, so this bit of airspace here, this white line here, is the boundary for the ATC surface level bit. So maybe Helimed 54 Echo, contact the tower 124.005. Yeah, contact the tower. Switch to 124.005. Helimed 54 Echo is 5 miles to the south, inbound for yourselves, not above 1,500 feet. And they'll say clear to land back at the pad where we started, and read all that back. Probably remain south of the main runway. So that looks like the airfield there. Here's the M1 snaking up. So let's go on to heading now, because this will just take us to the exact centre point of the airfield, which we don't necessarily need. We'll adjust our make a left base quite a northerly wind actually, so we'll make our approach to the taxiway and then go back and land where we were. So I can just make out the air traffic control tower here, and that was behind us, so we're landing about here. There's the taxiway that we took off from earlier, so we'll try and put it back there. So, a couple of minutes to run. So, DH bugs, 200 feet, no change. Lights are all on, secure all round, and the brief will be 200 feet to the taxiway, back to the base. Anything before 200 feet go around, anything afterwards will continue to land. Engine failure briefs are usually a bit more complex than that, but certainly for the case of HEMS, we're saying the briefs quite a lot all the time. Everyone kind of knows what we're on about. So, bringing the speed back now, coming down. In fact, let's decouple the autopilot, fly manually, and see if my pedal and cyclic sensitivity adjustments makes me a better pilot now. It does feel a little bit less wobbly already, to be fair. So, HEMS 54 Echo is final for the Mike taxiway. And they'll probably say something like, HEMS 54 Echo, clear to land your discretion, Mike taxiway, remain south of runway 27. Something along those lines. Looks like there's a tug coming down the taxiway. Don't really want to crash into that. A cool LDP there. Oh, he's turned off anyway. Makes my life simple. Oh, rate descent's getting high. Watch out for that. Rule of thumb, vortex ring state, below 30 knots. Try and keep it below 300 feet per minute. Reality for a big helicopter like this, or larger helicopter, below 500 feet per minute is probably fine, but no need to get close to the edge. Okay, let's go and land it back at the base. So this is disused now. It used to be where HEMS 54 was based. Little port cabin at East Midlands. They've since moved on to another place. So back on base. Engines to idle. So the 145, you go to idle for 30 seconds to help the engines cool. So we landed at 1503, engines to idle at 1.5. We'll bring the VMS up, and we can start to turn off our lights. We'll leave them on, as we said before. And turn off our pitos. Transfer pumps can come off. Avionics master off. The anti-vibration can come off. And we're waiting for 4.5. That'll be 15 seconds of cooling at idle. And engines off. Turn the autopilot off if you wish. You can latch the collective. Waiting for the white box around the NR so that we can put the rotor brake on. We've got 380 kilos of fuel. So if we're going to run with a load of standard load today of 600 kilos, the big thing to do next is to refuel. Make sure you've got enough fuel for the next job, right? So there's our white box, a little bit higher than the real aircraft, that's fine. Rotor brakes on. So I'd now be thinking 380, round down a bit, so for easy maths. So I need 220 kilos of fuel to get her up to 600 kilos. So specific gravity of Jet A1 being 0.8, so you add a quarter to work that out. So you're multiplying 220 by 0.8 to get the litres. So easy thing, add a quarter. So what's half of 220? 110. What's half of 110? 55. So we're looking at 220 plus 55. So 275 litres, of fuel is going to go in. So when we get the Bowser out, put some fuel in, we know what we're going to put in. and that should get us to the 600 kilos for the rest of the day. So that's all good. In reality, it comes up with all sort of like reports here. So there we go. When you shut down the aircraft each time, you'd get this report. So this goes in your logbook. The block time is the amount of time the rotor blades have been spinning. The flight time, the amount of time in the air. You've got the cumulative stuff you need to have a look at. You didn't spend any time in OEI, although I've apparently done that much in this airframe over time. Creep, there's nothing. So this is compressor blade creep you'd log at the end of the day for engineering. Landing cycles, we've done 5 landings. If there's a 5th, you have broken the helicopter. The engineers will not be pleased with you. If you've got 4 pages, you'll be quite happy. In the systems page, new ones, there's some stuff down here you can interact with, but not on this. So that's good. So we leave our lights on, so we know that we're not going to walk away from the aircraft with the battery on. So if I turn the battery off, we'll definitely know that we're good. Open the door, cup of tea, and end of the HEMS shift day 1. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. A bit of an insight into what you think about as a HEMS pilot in the UK. So feel free to build any of this into your flying. All or none, I don't mind. That's entirely up to you. Don't know what the quick crew walk around is. Does that just make them go wandering around the helicopter, checking stuff? I will, as I said, as and when. I don't exactly have a huge amount of time for some of this stuff, but we'll try and put more stuff out as I can, and we'll increase the difficulty. So poorer weather, worse terrain, using more exemptions, and all that sort of stuff. And we'll build a little bit of realism. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. And leave any comments, anything you'd like to see, questions, queries, comments, concerns. I'll be sure to answer them. Thanks very much.